Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch bison's ass so hard that the next bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 313. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man?
I went to PAX. I went to PAX East, and it wasn't the both of us. The tradition has been broken. It was a little sad. I got a lot to say about it.
At least one of us got to enjoy the festivity.
That's right. So our friend Anthony, who's been on the show a couple of times, right? He came to PAX East, and we just did a day. We went up Wednesday, came back Thursday after the show, and yeah, man. I mean, I got a lot to say about it. It was certainly different. It was even more different than 2020, if you can believe it. But I have some notes. I can believe it.
Well, 2020, nobody really knew what was going on, right?
Right.
With the zombie apocalypse. And we were a little hesitant, but we still went, and it was fine, right? I mean, there was a scare, I think, at the Nintendo booth, right? There was somebody that tested positive.
Apparently one person tested positive from at least that I know of, yeah. From the Facebook group, PAX East.
Yeah. So I couldn't go, unfortunately, to PAX. I had some home renovations. This is what they call, what the kids call adulting, right? I have to be an adult.
AKA spending money on boring shit.
Yes. Spending lots of money.
I understand.
Well, this is for the greater good, okay? If I refinance my house, pay off my student loans, I can buy more video games.
So it all circles back, right?
Circles back.
You're playing the long game in this situation.
Yeah,
I support this. I support this.
But unfortunately, process, right? When you got to get an appraisal, you got to get an appraisal done for the bank. You got to make sure the house is, tip-top shape so it can appraise at a high value. So I've been pretty busy, and I'm on a time crunch, right?
Right.
We're recording this late, because I just haven't had any time to record at all.
Right.
But I want to hear all about PAX, right? Like, I'll live vicariously through you a little bit later in the show. But we have an awesome show this week. I want to say slow news week, but we got some things to talk about, right? We're going to talk about PAX East. You're going to tell me about PAX East. And later in the show, we're going to talk about Amy Hennig's new game. Sort of been officially announced that what type of game she's working on, and I am super excited about that because I love Amy Hennig's games. I think she's a great narrative. The game is going to be more a narrative driven game if she's involved, right? But before we get into any of that, let's begin with the notable games coming out next month of May, my birth month, right?
That's right.
So I'll be the big 2-1. Be 21 next. 21 years young.
Listen. I know they say black don't crack, but come on. Come on, Dad.
It don't, man. It don't crack. You can throw it. You can hit it with a hammer. It don't crack. So, all the game release dates come from Game Informer. Okay, video game release date list. So if you get mad at me that this game isn't coming out, get mad at Video Game Informer. That's
at Game Informer on Twitter.
So that's where I get it from. Not a lot of big title games, but I want to just get into like the top 5 that I saw. Trek of Yomi, right?
Trek to Yomi,
PS5. Trek to Yomi is coming out. PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Series, PC. No Stadia. Funny enough, May 5th.
Yep. That was at PAX. That was at PAX at one of the booths. Didn't get a chance to play it, but it had a crowd. So I think that's a good sign.
That's one of those games. If we were at PAX for like 2-3 days, right? We would have
we would have given it a go.
Come back tomorrow. Right? That's the one issue with like going for one day, right? So
you got to cram it all in, yeah.
Got to cram it all in. We got Evil Dead, the game. Totally forgot that was a thing, but yes, Evil Dead. They did announce it like 2 years ago, I think.
Not the fistful of boomstick game. Not the not the like Xbox PS2 era game. Not the I don't know how many Evil Dead games came out.
I got Evil Dead for Dreamcast. That's terrible.
Right. They're all like kind of like they go from like kind of bad to like kind of okay, and that's about where they sit.
So this is like a multiplayer game, right? Like this is you're playing more of a multiplayer. You in a squad against like evil demons or something like that. From what I can tell.
I think it's a little like the Friday the 13th game.
Yes, yeah. Which is why I wasn't really too big on it. It wasn't on my radar. But it is coming out for PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. No Stadia. May 13th. Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, right? That's coming out. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Switch, surprisingly. PC, still no Stadia. May 19th. A game that I'm looking to pick up, MX versus ATV Legend. That's coming out for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and PC, May 24th. And Sniper Elite 5. Totally forgot the 5th one's coming out. They did announce that a while ago. I totally forgot it was coming out this year. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PC, May 20th.
That game has a bit of a cult following, I gotta say. Sniper Elite.
I didn't realize how many sniper Elite and sniper games there were.
Yeah.
I tried to get the whole collection. I'm like, man, this they've had a lot of sniper games since like the PS2 era. Yep.
They surprisingly had some release on the Wii U. Funny enough. Right?
Oh yeah. I think it was Sniper Elite 3.
Yeah, V3.
Elite?
Yeah.
V3. Yeah. That was on the Wii. All right. So Dave, I can't wait any longer. I'm excited. Tell me all about PAX. Tell me everything I missed.
Okay. So there's we played a handful of games, right? Me and Anthony went up and we got to play a handful of games. We did. Before anything else, I had to do it. I had to go. Tradition, right? We first stop always. Dan's like, we got to hit limited run. We got to go there. So I told Anthony, I said, look, we have to find the limited run booth. We got to go there first thing and see what they got. So we did. And I got you some games. Well, I mean, nice. You know what these are, but the fans don't know what these are. I got you some games because I'm like, look, here's the list. Here's what we got. So, you're like, do they have this one? Do they have this one? And it's like, all right, let me see what I can do. So I got Erica for the PS4, which I'm assuming this is like survival horror?
Live action.
Live
action. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Taking it back to the Sega CD games.
Okay. And then this other one.
Full motion video.
Oh, so like Night Trap style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kinda.
And the other one, Momodora. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Reverie Under the Moonlight, which looks kind of cool. It looks like a side-scrolling action adventure. These both look awesome. So next time I see you, I got to give these to you, which I think is going to be next week. So I got those. I got you.
You didn't tell me. Thank you. But you didn't tell me if you bought anything. What did you buy?
From Limited Run, I bought absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay.
Because I had just about everything that they had there, or everything that I wanted that they had there, I should say. There was some stuff. I think the one I was like maybe was Golf Story.
You should have got Golf Story. Fantastic. Fantastic game. I think I went. I'm not a big RPG fan, and I'm not a golf fan, but I think I made it halfway through that game. I thought that was fantastic.
Right. Well, they're doing. They got a new one. I think Sports Story, right? Which
Sports
is like
Story, where you do the different sports. Yeah.
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 So,
I think I pre-ordered that already. I have to look at my limited run list. I love it. The fact that if you go to limited run, if you log into your account, they have a list of all the games you pre-ordered, and you could change the address. Like if you move, you could change the address to where again. So.
That's smart.
Awesome.
That's smart.
So, all right.
Yeah. So
tell me all about PAX, man. Like I'm excited. I'm living vicariously through you because I really wanted to go and I really just couldn't.
I do have to say, I mean, we kind of pulled the gun last minute, right? We were all talking behind the scenes. Hey, do we want to go? What are we going to do? And well, it turned out we just did the one day, and then we came back Thursday night. But we were able to get a hotel right behind the convention. There's a new hotel called the Loft, which is part of Marriott. It was very new. I think they put it up maybe a couple of years ago, and it was probably
finalized in the construction while we were there in 2020.
Yeah. I mean, they're still building new hotels. They're building so much stuff over there. It's great. So we were literally at the back entrance to the BCEC. So
nice.
That was amazing. We just got up, we got coffee, and we just walked across the street. So that was like kind of nice. It was a nice hotel. They had a pretty cool lobby. There were definitely a lot of PAX people there.
Was it a line outside when you got to the convention center?
Yeah. There was a little bit of a line. Not as bad as it usually is.
Okay.
Even though Thursday is the lightest day out of all of them, with Sunday being the second lightest, then Friday, then Saturday, but it was definitely less.
People on the PAX East sort of Facebook
group
community,
group
sort of posted pictures and said it. The lines even on Friday. I didn't check Saturday, but at least on Friday weren't as long as they usually are.
Yeah,
so and that it was pretty much dead. Well,
Saturday sold out. I know that.
Yeah,
Saturday eventually sold out, but that was even down to the wire. Like that sold out like maybe 2 weeks before, maybe 3 weeks before. So usually the way this goes, like back when like PAX was like pre-pandemic, they would sell out like right away. Like the 4-day passes would sell out right away, and eventually like all days would pretty much sell out. So much so they had to add Thursday a couple of years ago, and that was a great idea. But anyway, like when we got in, like you remember in 2020 that Sony wasn't there and Capcom wasn't there, I think, right? There was a lot of Japanese studios.
No, Sony wasn't there, and
I think it was Capcom.
Squaresoft.
No. Square was there, but none of the Japanese people were there. It was all the American. Yeah, and Capcom didn't show. Because Capcom usually has like something. Not a huge booth, but they have some sort of presence. Neither Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, or THQ, which does have a big presence, and they're like Embracer Group, so there is a ton of stuff that they have. None of them were there. Behemoth Games wasn't there, which they're always there, right? The Castle Crasher guys. They're there even when they don't have anything new. They only have like 4 or 5 games, but they usually go because it's always they always have a good booth. People buy a bunch of stuff. They play the arcade games. It's great. So they weren't there. So there was a lot of empty space, like more than you could imagine.
Was it enough? And it was empty space and not sold out, so it wasn't jam packed. So there was room to walk around and breathe. You're not like shoulder to shoulder with people.
Sure. Okay. Which for doing a one day, it was amazing. It was a shock, right? Because like usually they go to the ends of the convention arena, but there was like a row missing of like booths. which was also kind of weird. And then there was a big gap in the middle where there would have been stuff. But I mean, it was great because we didn't wait for anything. You know, we got to talk to a ton of devs. You know, we got a lot of time. We weren't kind of like rushed around, and we weren't like kind of picking and choosing. We were like, well, all right, I guess we can do this. I guess we can do like, you know, we weren't scrambling for anything. Like there was a couple things that I did want to see beyond that, but like we could have done the whole entire thing in 2 days, including panels. That's how small it was. And
Okay.
I don't want to get into conspiracy theories or anything like that, but I'm just going to say the pandemic is still the pandemic. When we went Wednesday to get verified because we had to get our badges, which were at will call, and we had to prove that we had the COVID vaccine. So they give you like these green little armbands or whatever, right? To prove that you're, you know, COVID free or whatever, or that you got the vaccine. So we did that on Wednesday. Okay. And you know, they made you wear a mask all the time, which was perfectly fine. You know, like I get it. So they were being safe, you know, hand sanitizer at every station, more than usual. So there was all that. You know, so I mean, that's just kind of I don't think it was anything other than like COVID still kind of being a thing and people are a little like, I don't know. So I think 2023, it's going to be a lot better. I don't know necessarily it's going to be back to normal, but it'll be better than like what it was. But
okay. Well, just officially,
mm-hmm.
So it was Capcom, CD Projekt Red, Facebook,
right.
PUBG Corp, Sony, and Square Enix that backed out of 2020 PAX East.
Yeah. So,
and the only people who were there for Square Enix were the voice actors and some staff, American staff.
Right. I mean, they had a booth. They had a booth
for Final Fantasy VII remake. Mm-hmm. Remember?
Yeah. We ended up taking pictures of a bunch of those cosplayers, and we got to see some of the voice actors. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was like Final Fantasy VII remake time. So that was like kind of big for them. I mean, beyond all of that. We got to sit down and play some games, and I think there's a tie for star of the show, but I'm gonna go through all the games and then kinda...
You know what? I've seen these games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna I can unofficially break the tie.
Okay.
Or what I would pick. Okay.
Well, we got to see TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Right.
Ooh,
and
that's a game I'm looking forward to this year, and it's a physical edition that's coming out. They announced it, so I'm super excited about that.
Yep. You were gonna love it because me and Anthony loved it. It is just like Scott Pilgrim with all of the details. Right. The pixel art's on point. The sound design is on point. All the references that you are like, wow, I wonder if they're gonna reference this in the game, and they do. Like, for instance, when you, like, fall down the manholes, they say those, like, corny puns, right? You know, like shell-shocked and whatever else, which is awesome. Instead of Big Apple 3 a.m., they do Big Apple 3 p.m., right? Because that's the beginning of, I think, Turtles in Time, right? Because you go through, like, a whole day, and then you go traveling through time. We got to play 2 stages with Bebop and Rocksteady. They were the boss of both those stages. And they looked like their comic / cartoon counterparts. You know, they really had all the details there, which was awesome. You know, the Foot Clan, there was a ton of Foot Clan. We fought some Rodney robots, right? The little like kind of trash can things on the one.
Oh yeah. Those are annoying. They were annoying. I hated it.
Yep. They are just as annoying in this one. I can almost assuredly tell you that the Mousers are also going to be in there. We didn't see any Mousers, but the fact that they got all these details right, I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be in there. Every character has supers, right? They got a little super meter that kind of builds up. I was playing as April because you got to, right? And Anthony was playing as Donatello.
Doesn't she have the mic as a weapon? Come on.
She does.
Yeah. Do something a little bit different. They couldn't do something different.
What do you mean?
I mean, what I want to know. I mean,
That
was
is
she just
different.
swinging a mic? That she a real maybe like a stick or something, or chocobos, but. She had a mic. She's just swinging a mic around. Is that her attack?
Well,
What's her super? Did you get a chance to use her super?
Oh, of course. Her super is a spinning lariat with the
mic.
microphone. Yeah, she starts spinning around with her arms out. She's badass, let me tell you. And she also, which like the movesets are awesome. There's a ton of moves, but she's got a like a rising upper kick, which goes into a descending kick. So if you kind of do like an upward kick, you can at the top of the kick you can do a downward kick and then kick into somebody else, which is amazing. I haven't seen too many beat 'em ups have like a combo like that. So that was awesome. You can toss the guys into the screen just like in Turtles in Time. Yeah. And like Anthony was asking like can you like toss the dudes, and he's like, yeah, you could toss the dudes. So he was able to like swing one into the screen. And we're like, ah.
Well, I mean, you have to because, right? Well, the Cowabunga. No, you know what? I'm thinking about the Cowabunga collection.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Like where you have Turtles at time, and there's a stage where you have to throw.
Throw
them on it
because Shredder's in the machine, right? And you gotta like crack the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, all right. I'm thinking of both Turtles, and I'm thinking of the new Turtles game and the
Cowabunga collection. Yeah. It's like the golden age for Turtles right now. It's incredible.
It's coming back, baby.
Coming out. I know.
Nickelodeon must be excited. I think Nickelodeon owns the Turtles.
They do. And we asked about how they got the license for that, and they courted Nickelodeon, and they said it was a long process, but they got there. And then so we were kind of playing, and I wanted to know more about the game, like how many stages, and is there going to be DLC and all that. 10 confirmed stages, which is good. There may be more. We asked about the riding on the surfboards in the sewer. Is there going to be like any sort of stages like that? And they said, so couldn't confirm or deny. It seems like they definitely want to do it, but they were kind of like, well, we don't know if it's going to make the cut. As far as DLC,
you know what that means? That means it's going to make the cut. And they just didn't want to tell you. They couldn't give you the scoop because they want to leave some things surprise for the game when it comes out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, the guy that was kind of walking us through the game, he was a big Turtles fan, and Anthony is a big Turtles fan from like back to the comic days too, right?
Yeah.
And I know like some of the stuff because my like brother was into the old Barrage comics like back when Eastman and Laird were doing it, so I know like a little bit about kind of the OG stuff, and I know a lot about the cartoon, right? And the cartoon kind of expanded the series out, so I was able to hang with like some of those references. Like we asked if like Casey Jones could possibly be a character in the game, and he was like, that would be awesome, certainly, because he's got like the big hockey stick. And
you know what that means? That means Casey Jones is going to be a DLC character to play.
Well, we asked about DLC too, and he said specifically it depends on how well the game does. So if it's a commercial success and the fans like it, then DLC will be forthcoming, as far as I can tell. And he felt very modest about it. And I had to kind of be like, and I was going to say this anyway, because they make my favorite beat 'em up, Scott Pilgrim, right? Tribute, worked on the re-release of it. And they were amazing with it. And I'm like, look, Scott Pilgrim is my favorite beat 'em up. And I'm not just saying that. And that game was amazing. The level of detail was great. And this game has it, right? All the stuff you want in a Turtles game is there, right? It looks like the old school 16-bit games. You can now play as Splinter, and you can play as April O'Neil, which is awesome. The 4 Turtles are great. They all have different stat powers. It's amazing. So I feel like it's going to do really well. DLC, I can almost guarantee, is going to be forthcoming.
Does it have co-op play?
4-player co-op is in the game. Okay. You can do that local and online, I believe. So yeah. I mean, and that was an amazing game, right? These are the guys that also did Panzer Paladin too, right? A game that we played a couple of times with PAX.
Wait, I didn't know
Yep.
that. Wait. I didn't know they did Panzer Paladin. That was like my game at a show, like in 2020, right?
I know.
Wow.
Panzer Paladin's amazing. So
yeah, that's a great game too. If you're sleeping on that, go get Panzer Paladin. I think that's right up there for me with Shovel Knight. Right under Shovel. I think Shovel Knight's better. But it's right under Shovel Knight if you're looking for like some old school gaming. It's like Mega Man in a mech.
Yeah.
16-bit.
Yeah.
Right. Mega Man meets Blaster Master.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Because you can hop out of the vehicle and all that. Yeah.
You hop out of the vehicle, but you get to choose. The enemy, which boss you want to face. You should, just like Mega Man, choose the right boss.
That's right. That's right. And they're all like mythological demons, right? You could fight like Baba Yaga, and like I think the Chupacabra maybe is one of them too. All these like great mythological creatures from around the world.
All right.
But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you got to play the Turtles.
I
Shredder's
did.
Revenge.
Which was solid. I also got to play WrestleQuest. Which is a game that we saw recently at the, I think Xbox ID had it at the end of their show. And I mean, I know you are a huge wrestling fan, right? And I'm definitely not as into it as you are. You were like into with kind of wrestling, and you still watch it.
I still watch it. Well, big wrestling fan from the Attitude, well, even prior to the Attitude Era, right? The New Generation era that was my era. Right, and then we led into the NWO. We then led into the Attitude Era, and then the Ruthless Aggression, and then I sort of tapered off a little bit. But I still know all the relevant players, all the companies. I'm still, I don't. If I miss a Raw, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
And sometimes I want to miss a Raw because they've been terrible. Pre WrestleMania, WrestleMania, they've been terrible.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind missing them. But I don't miss a Dynamite, don't miss a Rampage for AEW. So I do follow. I'm still up with all the wrestling companies, all the wrestling, but not as big of a fan as I used to be. But I'm still a bigger fan than you because you're a moderate watcher.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like some people in the wrestling world, and I'm gonna tell a little bit of an embarrassing story because
I'm embarrassed for you. When you told me this, I was like, how on earth could you? How could you not know?
Now, hold on. So we were kind of walking around, and I think we were still... we walked around most of the show floor, and then we got to where WrestleQuest was, and I'm like, oh, shit, it's WrestleQuest. I was telling Anthony about it, because he didn't know what the game was, and I'm like, oh, my God, you play as Randy Santos, Muchacho Man, right, who is an up-and-coming wrestler, and I was telling him about the thing and all that. And... I was telling him about the thing, right? And then I hear from over there, and he's like, I hear this voice, and it's like, oh, this guy, Dave over here doesn't even realize he's not going to say hi to me, and I'm like, huh? And I turn over, and it's our Instagram friend Patrick Hickey, and I was like, oh shit, because he left a comment saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and be a PAX and whatnot, and I didn't know that he was involved with WrestleQuest, right? He's doing the voice acting for Randy Santos, which he doesn't mean Macho Man, by the way. I mean, it's amazing. I didn't realize that he was a voice actor. I know he does the comics and the whatever else, and he's kind of written some books. So me and him were kind of talking for a minute, and then I look to my left. And I see a guy and he looks very familiar. Big dude, muscly guy with like blonde curly hair. And I'm like, and he kind of gave me a look like, do you know who I am? Because I'm somebody. And I'm like, you're somebody. And he gave me the run, right? He was like, you don't really know who I am. And he asked me, he's like, do you know wrestling? I'm like, I was like an 80s kid growing up, so I like remember the Hulkster and all that, like Macho Man, and he's like, do you remember the Honky Tonk Man? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I know he's not the Honky Tonk Man, but okay, that's not me. And he ran through a bunch of different, he's like, I'm Jeff Jarrett. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, come on. How can you not know Jeff?
Well, that's why I know it. Jeff Jarrett, double J.
J-E, double F, J-A, double R, E, double T.
See,
Jeff Jarrett.
if you were there, you would have been like, how do you not know this man? He's a legend. And
How do you not know Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah.
Listen, if I was there, I would have told him, I just watched
you would have gushed a little.
your music video. I just watched the music video. I don't know why. I had this song in my head, My Baby Tonight.
Yeah. With My Baby Tonight. Yeah.
Jimmy, I forgot the guy that worked at WWE. He doesn't work there anymore. He did the best songs. They should have never let him go. He should still be working there, making the theme songs. I think Jimmy Jam. If not, I totally forgot his name off the top of my head because I'm so excited because you met Jeff Jarrett, JEFFJARRETT. Love Jeff Jarrett. I wasn't a big Jeff Jarrett fan, but I loved it when he was in WCW and he left to come back to WWF at the time.
Right.
So it was a big coup
Right.
for WWF if you were a WWF fan, right? So finally, somebody leaves WCW and comes back. To WWF.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you know, he couldn't have been nicer. He was you know, taking pictures with all the fans and whatnot. Yeah, you know, it felt like he really wanted to be there, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, I eventually got to have some playtime with it. They apparently have 2 games. They're also doing World Championship Boxing Manager 2, which is a game.
The first one.
Which is a game. This is a deep cut because apparently it came out for the Commodore 64, the Amiga, the Atari ST, and I think the Sinclair. Wow. But it's a boxing, just like it says, it's a boxing manager game. So you basically run a stable of boxers, right? You kind of set up the cards, you do all the behind the scenes stuff, right? And it's kind of a cool idea. I think it's a really cool idea. I don't think there's any other game out there like it. You know, there's like football manager sims and baseball manager sims are probably the most popular, right? And those are a little bit like kind of hard to get into because they're all like real stat heavy. But I can get behind it. And, you know, they had like one of the devs was there and he was dressed up like a boxer and he had like the robe on and the boxing gloves. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I asked him about that game a little bit and he said, yeah, you know, it's a game from back in the day. We kind of like loved it. We wanted to make a sequel to it. And I think one of the big things about that game, before I get into WrestleQuest, is you can actually see the guy's box where you couldn't in the first one. It was they would just kind of like text narrate what happened, kind of, but now you can actually see that play out, which is like kind of cool. But I was really there to play WrestleQuest, and it's a wrestling RPG, which is also pretty unique. So, like I said, you play as Randy Santos, Muchacho Man, right? And he is he idolizes Macho Man, so he wants to be Macho Man, right? And he's like the kind of the Mexican equivalent of that. And he's like he's a very local wrestler. He fights in the equivalent, I think, of ECW, maybe. I think it's called like NCW or whatnot. Like they have very clear references to the real world properties, but they don't actually use those names for like legal reasons. So they kind of like skirt around it. But you kind of play in this backwoods town and you kind of learn the ropes. You know, that's like kind of the first area. So you'll learn all the basic mechanics of it. And you can customize your intros in it. And how you customize your intros will affect the game, right? So certain combinations of things will go over better with the audience, right? So if you kind of put the right lighting and fireworks and all that, and you can even get new ones like as you go, you can get more like different types of intro customization stuff. So how you put that together matters. You can customize like your move sets and all that, right? Customize your taunts and whatever else. You can call on your manager when you're in like battle to kind of do things. There was a mechanic where I think like the manager was calling out stuff to like to phase my opponent, and it would kind of get him in a stun so I could like grapple him easier. There's like quick time events if you want to pin, which is like kind of cool. And it's essentially it is an RPG, so they have like, you know, magic and whatever, like you have MP, but it's not called MP. It's like the wrestling equivalent of magic points, right? So if you want to do like special moves or whatever else, or like gimmicks, they cost a certain amount of magic points, but they just kind of theme it around the wrestling, around all the wrestling terminology. And there's even like a hype meter in the game too, so you have to maintain hype, right? So if the hype goes down like way low, I believe your opponent gets stronger. And then if like the hype is real high, like you'll have a better match and you'll kind of get some bonuses out of it. So how you wrestle, depends on what the hype meter is going to be at, like the audience engagement. So you have to kind of keep that up, which is kind of cool. And then there's superstars in it, right? So we saw that in the in the Xbox ID thing, right? They had Jeff Jarrett and Booker T were kind of talking about it, and they're like, yeah, we're in the game. And there's also other, like, Coco Beware's in the game, Macho Man's in there, Jake the Snake, and a bunch of other wrestlers. So the way they play into it is there's monuments or statues to all of those wrestlers. And if you go to one of those statues, I think you can, like, I don't want to say like pray at the statue, but like if you go to the statue and be like, you're my favorite wrestler or whatever it is, you'll get a special power from them, and you'll get like, powered up for the match. So that's kind of neat. They're not in the game as like combatants, I don't think, but you can get like special powers from them. And there is like the enemies you fight are, they do have real world counterparts. Like, there were some guys I fought early on who were clearly the Road Warriors, but you couldn't call them the Road Warriors, I don't think. So,
I think you can, so you can't call them the Legion of Doom, because that was
right.
the WWF
right.
/E persona. I think you could call them the Road Warriors. I think that was their names when they were out in the Indies and WCW.
Well, maybe that's it, yeah. But they definitely do have wrestlers who were like, oh, this is clearly this person, but they can't say that. Yeah, so there is some licensing stuff and whatnot, but amazing. I mean, the game is like, I know you're not a big RPG guy, but you're a big wrestling guy. I would highly recommend when this comes out. I think we were both going to check it out anyway, but I was definitely sold on it. The guys there, super passionate. This is Mega Cat Studios, right? They've worked on a ton of stuff. Currently working on this WrestleQuest and World Championship Boxing. They did Tanzer for the Genesis. They've done some like old school stuff. They actually had a tiny little PVM there set up with Tanzer. But it's like a run and gun shooter for the Genesis. And they've done some like Nintendo stuff and like a couple other things. And they had like some of that stuff on Showcase, but it was good. So the next game that I played, and Anthony kind of like, you got to play this game. And it's Turbo Overkill from Trigger Happy Interactive. It's published by Apogee. All right, the Wolfenstein 3D guys and the Commander Keen from way back in the day. They're still around. They've been redoing and republishing a lot of their old titles. Turbo Overkill is a new game, and I believe it's Trigger Happy Interactive's first game. It is a boomer shooter. It is a first-person boomer shooter in the vein of a Quake or a Duke Nukem 3D or Doom, right? It's very quick. You run around, mouse and a keyboard. I think it has controller support too. But it's a cyberpunk style game, right? So it's got a lot of like, purples, blues, and reds. It's got that kind of cool cyberpunk soundtrack. And yeah, you got to play a little bit of the levels that they had. We got to play I think it was like a 5-minute demo, and they had maybe like 2.5 levels. We got to play with like 5 different weapons, which are all upgradable. I was able to take, I think it was a machine gun and add a flamethrower to it, which was awesome. So they have like little machines.
It looks like if Cyberpunk and Doom got together and have a baby, right?
Yep.
I think that's pretty cool. And you have like a cybernetic. Well, I'm looking at one of the screenshots. There's like a cybernetic arm that's holding the bullets for you as you use the machine gun. Like, that's awesome. Okay.
And that's
colors.
all
it's bright and gory. It looks a little gory too.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of blood and a lot of explosions. Speaking of the cybernetic stuff, you can upgrade your body because you are like I guess an android or a cyborg. So they have little machines around the world which you can use your like all the enemies you kill give you credits, and you can use those credits to upgrade yourself.
Okay.
I wasn't able to do any of the cybernetic upgrades, but I did get some weapon upgrades, which was kind of cool. Wider burst fire or larger ammo capacity, or like I said, I think the machine gun had an alt fire for the flamethrower, which was awesome, and you just kind of like spread it around. It was really tight, really good graphics. At one point there was a choice, where do you want to go next? Now, I don't know if the game is going to have that as a mechanic or if it was just for the demo to like try out different areas. But like I beat the first level and then it was like, do you want to go here, here, or here? So I don't know if like that's going to be in the final game or that was just like for like PAX for the demo. But regardless, awesome. I believe it's coming out for all current gen consoles, definitely coming out for PC. I think it's Xbox and PlayStation as well as PC. No support for Stadia. I guess I have to say that.
We're just driving that nail in the coffin.
And we have to say that. Said that for every game. There was no Stadia support.
Yeah, there's no Stadia. Where's the Stadia?
Yeah. So it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
The next game I played was Evil West. Now, I don't know if you remember this game.
It's like evil. When you said Evil West, I just thought like of an evil Adam West, evil Batman.
No, not so much. But that would be kind of awesome. I'm pretty sure they showed this at one of the conferences or directs or whatever it was, because I remember seeing it before.
I think this was at a Microsoft event. Yes. I remember this. I think this was at Microsoft's event.
So this is from Focus Entertainment. They've done a lot of games, most notably Curse of the Dead Gods, which is kind of like a I'm blanking on the name. What's the one with the Greek gods, and you have to fight through hell?
Oh, I have it right. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that game. The audience is probably screaming at us right now. Let us know on Twitter what the name of that game is. I forget. But anyway, it's kind of like that game, third person isometric game where it's randomly generated each time. You kind of go through and beat up a bunch of evil creatures and all that. They also did Aliens Fireteam, which came out pretty recently, which got some pretty good reception. But this is a third person Wild West steampunk shooter. And I did get to talk to one of the devs, and they did confirm that there is some Cthulhu mythology in the game. So it's going to get weird, even though the demo I played was pretty weird. But you do get an upgrade tree, so you can upgrade your hero. There's swinging mechanics. You do get like a rope or a lasso, which you can use to kind of swing over things. And you can eventually use it as like... kind of like a lasso to like rope and hook and then like stun people. That's like one of the later upgrades that you get. But really solid. A third person action game. I was
okay. No, I'm excited for it. It wasn't Xbox, it was the PlayStation showcase. Mm-hmm. They showed it. I think it was. It's definitely coming out on Xbox too. It's not a platform. It's not coming out on Stadia though. Still no.
No, there is no Stadia support.
There's no Stadia support. But I definitely this is one of those games I was interested in and I was looking forward to. So not so sold on the name because every time you say it, Evil West, I think of an evil Batman. That's Adam West, right? So, right. I get why they say it because it's like the West. It was what was that like Cowboys versus Aliens movie that was terrible, right? Like it gives me the that type of vibe.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah,
that was literally the name of that movie. It was terrible.
With Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Yes, and your favorite James Bond.
Oh yeah, Daniel Craig. That's why I actually gave it a chance and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But, no,
it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was. But it was terrible.
So it's coming out this year. No release date set exactly, but if I had to guess, probably going to be the beginning of Christmas 1. And then the final game that I got to play that I want to talk about is called Terra Nil.
Never heard of this game.
Yeah, neither did I. Neither did I. It was at the Devolver Digital booth, and it's Free Lives is the developer, and they made a little game called Broforce, if you remember that.
Yes.
Right?
I was addicted to Broforce for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Broforce is legit.
Yeah, and all the different characters. Yeah.
They kept adding like it's a side-scrolling shooter, but you get to play as all your great action heroes. And they kept adding like that game had like 10 years worth of updates, right? They kept adding like here's Indiana Jones, here's Snake Plissken, here's
all I cared about was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo.
yeah. K&J, right? From like Men in Black. Like they had the two brothers from the Boondock Saints. Like they just kept adding every time I would go to the Wikipedia page, they'd have a new update with new characters. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. So they're a super cool studio. It's an interesting game. It is an environmental sim. So it's like a 3/4 view, and you get a plot of land which is desolated, right? It's all kind of like, I guess, desert or dirt, or not even dirt. It's like uninhabitable. And you get little pieces of equipment, right, that you put down, and then that'll help bring back the earth. It'll help revitalize the land. So, you can kind of put down like a, like a soil generator, and then it'll put down like usable dirt. And then you put down something else, and then that'll like water the grounds, which will turn into grass. And then you can use that to fill up like reservoirs and like canals, and you can make other bodies of water, like little like rivers and stuff. And everything kind of like works together. So the idea is to get the land fully back to 100% habitable or whatever it is, right? So everything's got to be green, luscious, and whatever else. So you have like some sort of resource, some environmental resource, and if you run out of it, it's game over. So every time you put something down, it expends resources, but some of the things will give you resources back, right? So you'll kind of gain a little bit when you put down the thing that generates grass, right? Because it hydrates the land and all that, but it costs a little bit, so you want to make sure you gain a little bit back from that, right? And so I was like going along, I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat, and then I saw like somebody else playing, and there's like different tiers of equipment. So I was playing with like the bare bones basic level 1 equipment, but there's apparently like 5 tiers of equipment. So the way everything like works together, it gets like super complex. But it was it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool.
Okay.
It was a good game. So those are the ones I wanted to highlight.
Not a game for me. I took a look at it. Not something that I never heard of it before. Not something that I think I would get into. I didn't think I would get into Stardew Valley, and I did. But it's
there
not
you
something
go.
I would do. Yeah.
It definitely, it definitely has vibes of that, right? It's all super low key. It's chill. You're not fighting against anybody. It's just like, how do I, make the earth habitable again?
So tell me, what are the 2 games in running a game in a show? What are the 2 games?
It's a tie, baby. It's WrestleQuest and TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Okay, I figured that's what it would be.
Oh yeah.
And I got to be honest.
Best in show.
My initial reaction, my initial thoughts was, since you met JEFFJARRETT, Jeff Jarrett, I wanted to go with Russell. I would say WrestleQuest, just on the strength that you met Jeff Jarrett. But I'm a big Turtle fan at heart. I'm probably a bigger Turtle fan than I am a wrestling fan, because I wanted every Ninja Turtle action figure that came out. I still have my Ninja Turtle action figures from a kid. And when I get a big enough game room, I will display them. I will be that 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120-year-old.
No shame.
With all the action figures I had, right, in a glass case. And I still have them in plastic, too, right, in the plastic.
Oh, my God.
Yep. I do.
Yep.
So I would say...
Even without playing these games, you're like Shredder's Revenge. Now...
Shredder's Revenge. I know the gameplay. I know these games, with the exception of the last one.
Right.
The last game, I know these games very well. I know, I just haven't played them. Honestly, WrestleQuest would be number 3 behind Evil West for me.
Yeah.
Right? Turtles, Evil. But so my top three just from afar would be Shredder's Revenge, Evil West, and Russell Quest. My top three games.
Okay.
Of the show.
Okay. I think out of these, you would have liked Shredder's Revenge the best too. So
100%.
I could say that with pretty high level of confidence. I know you, and the game is amazing. So it's gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be a good year for gaming. I think all of this stuff is coming out this year. So that's
hopefully
cool.
Hopefully next year we go back to normal. We go to PAX East 2023, right? And we could go for all 4 days like we usually do, right? Eat some chowder, go around, and have some fun and play some games. So I'm glad you had fun. I had to live vicariously through you, and I even got some games at limited run. So it was a win-win. All right, so why don't we take a break? When we come back, we'll get into the top gaming news of last week. And we're back. All right, let's get into the top gaming news of last week. And let's start with Amy Hennig. She and her new studio, they're making a new Star Wars game. Like, that's crazy. Like, listen, when I've heard this, I was like going through the roof. Why? You got to listen to the backstory. Amy Hennig worked at EA. She was working on a Star Wars game, a narrative-driven Star Wars game, which is like a dream if you're a Star Wars fan. And you go back to the days of you wanting an actual story being told with good gameplay mechanics, which she's not a dev per se, right? So we don't know what that dynamic was, but I can almost guarantee the story probably would have been interesting.
Yeah,
right?
It would have been engaging. Yeah.
So this is and EA, famously canceled it. They said the reports were that that came out of it that they want nothing. They can't monetize it, right? Because they want multiplayer games. And this came out around the same time as Battlefront, right? Battlefront 1, between Battlefront 1 and 2. So they want to monetize those games. So that game was canceled. Amy Hennig left EA and started her own studio. And now she's working with LucasArts, a.k.a. Disney, on a narrative-driven Star Wars game. Now, I can't remember, when was EA it's exclusivity up with Star Wars, right? Because they exclusively had the rights to make Star Wars games for a certain time. I think it's up this year. I think it was up this year.
I thought it was 2023. It's pretty soon.
All right, so
they have another
game.
Right. Well, Jedi Fallen Order 2, right? They have that sequel.
Well, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter if they have another game. Because they still are gonna the reports they were. I don't think we made to run a show maybe last year or a year before that they're still, even though the exclusivity deal will be up, they're still gonna make Star Wars games.
Right. They just won't be the only company making those games.
Correct.
Right. So it's not like they can't make. They already worked out that deal. Yeah. So don't rush Jedi Fallen Order 2. Right. The first one was my game of the year personally. Of that year, and we gave it to Death Stranding, but my personal game of the year was Jedi it was
Fallen.
Amazing. It was amazing
with the bugs and all. It did have some bugs.
It had some issues with it. Yeah,
wasn't perfect, but I thought it was great. I thought the story was so. I'm so excited for this. They see I don't know if she's going to take sort of the story or whatever she had with that canceled game and just make it now, or she's going to start from scratch and do something totally different. So.
Yeah. Well, now I don't know if it's her choice. It's probably Disney at the end of the day saying, we want a brand new game, or yes, you can bring this story back, right? Because they're the arbiters of all of that stuff. So I don't even know if she would want to go back to that original story, because maybe there's stuff that's been done since, right? We've got The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett. We got Episode 9. We got Jedi Fallen Order. Maybe some of those ideas happened already, or maybe because of those, she found a better narrative story to tell and is like, I want to tell this story now with this character.
Okay.
I don't know.
if they're working on it, it definitely has to come out after 2023, right? Because of the exclusivity with EA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if she's just starting it now, I got to imagine
3 to 4 year development time, probably.
3 to 4 year development time. I would, I don't know, we don't know what engine they're using. Maybe it's Unreal Engine 5, but that would be great.
Right.
They
Could
were
be.
using that UE5.
Could be.
So I was just excited to hear that she's back doing a Star Wars game.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love Star Wars. I even love the prequels. Yes, I know. I'm probably, I do love the prequels.
Episode 3 was good. Episode 3 was good.
Well, I've told the story on, the earlier episodes of, Rated G, but I saw the, episode, I guess episode 4, 5, and 6 when I was a kid. And I thought they were great, but I didn't, I saw them sporadic. Like I didn't see them like back to back to back. I saw them like, it was on one was on HBO one day.
Right.
Right. Another one was on Showtime 2 years later. Mm-hmm. Right. And I probably rented one from Blockbuster. Rented one from Blockbuster. I don't know what order that is, but I never saw them in tandem. Like I saw them sporadically, separately. So I never put them together as a kid. Like, oh yeah, this is a series. But I did love Star Wars. So when the prequels came out, totally, I saw episode 3 first.
Okay.
And then I went back to watch episode 2 and 1.
Sure.
And I think I was the only person in the movie theater who didn't know that this was Darth Vader.
Come on now.
I didn't know.
But you know what? You know what though? You get that surprise, and that's awesome.
I was surprised. Right? I was in the movie. As a matter of fact, I did know you because I had left Circuit City early. I had left early that day to go see it in the movie theaters during the day because I knew nobody would be there really. And when at the end of episode 3, when the mask was coming down,
you were
I was
like, "Oh, that's
Darth Vader."
That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
because as a kid, I don't remember Anakin Sky. Like, like he was Anakin Sky. I didn't remember that when I was a kid, right? I knew who all the players were, but I didn't know the backstory, right? 'Cause I seen the movies when I was a kid,
right.
So after seeing Star Wars Episode 3, I went back to watch Episode 1 and 2 so I could see the lead up to 3. Then I watched 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And I brought the remastered editions where they put Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Christensen, yeah. They put him as a Force ghost at the
end of episode. They put everybody at the end of episode 6.
So, yeah. So I got surprised. So I'm a big Star Wars fan as an adult, and I can't wait to play this game. Fallen Order was amazing.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so let's shift focus. Let's talk about Sony and Microsoft. Apparently, both Sony and Microsoft want to put ads in their free-to-play games. Like they're exploring ways, another revenue stream, right? I'm okay with this. This makes sense. I mean, it kind of made sense for the NBA to put ads on a jersey, right? Like
that's what they do in soccer, right? But
they do that in soccer.
Soccer doesn't have any commercials.
They don't.
They get all the revenue from the advertising.
They don't do that. They don't do that in football. They don't put advertising on the jersey. But
I think they will because
they will.
If basketball is doing it, they're essentially double dipping, right? They get the revenue from the ads on the jerseys, which are more like I think that's team revenue than like actual NBA league revenue, but. Still, then you also, on top of that, get the commercial revenue. So, it's a genius move. And they're like small logos, so it's like whatever, But,
again, I'm okay with ads in games if it's not stopping me from playing. And I give you an example. If I'm playing Spider-Man, and I'm web slinging through New York City, and I pass a billboard and it says Pepsi. Right. I'm okay with that. Because the Pepsi billboard isn't stopping me from web slinging, all right?
There is no barrier to and it's a real world product.
Realism.
Yeah,
and it brings to the realism of the game, right?
Mhm.
I don't want it to be like a YouTube channel with a game that I paid for. By the I play Spider-Man, and then I see a Pepsi ad, and it's I have to sit through the 15-second ad before I can get back to websling.
Mhm.
That I don't want.
Well,
But if
it's
it's
only
a free
going
to play game,
yeah, it's
then
only going to
that
be
does-
free to play
that's okay.
games. So yeah,
Yes.
Spider-Man wouldn't be an issue. But
Not unless they want free to play.
it's probably going to be an unskippable ad that you have to watch so you see it and it gets in your head. I don't think these are going to be passive ads by any means. Because, again, advertising in video games is not new. I mean, they did this with the NBA, I think, 2K22 or 21, right? We talked about it on the show, how they were, like, putting ads in the game, like real ads for, like, Facebook, Oculus, whatever, or this and that. And you had to watch them. I think they were at the breaks, right? Maybe after a quarter or at the half.
So what I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know off the top of my head, that they were during halftime show,
Hmm.
right? So it I think that kind of brings to the realism of like playing a sports game or playing the NBA, right? When you have the halftime show, you do have the commercials and you have the people talking about like the game, doing commentary on the game, the first half. I'm kind of okay with that too because I feel like I'm playing a real basketball game in that sense.
I get that.
I guess I don't want it to be egregious where it's before I play the game I get the ad. During the timeout I get the ad, or something. Halftime is like a happy medium in my view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I think like take a game like Warframe or Fortnite or whatever, right? These are the games that they're targeting, I think, right? I don't necessarily think Sony or Microsoft have any free-to-play games that they've developed in-house. I could be wrong. But I know there's a lot of third-party games that are big. And I would bet money that before you start a match in, let's say Fortnite, before you start a match, here's a pre-roll ad, and you have to watch a 30-second ad, maybe a minute of whatever this commercial is. And then, boom, then you get dropped, and you can drop into wherever you're going to drop into. Which, if they're going to do that on Xbox and PlayStation, then I would just play those games on PC. Because I don't think Microsoft's going to carry that over to the PC platform.
Oh, my friend, you never know.
Well,
you never know.
I mean, they're not because it's part of the Epic Games Store, right? You play Fortnite through the Epic Games Launcher. So Microsoft can't really do anything about that, right? So they don't really have control over that. But I would find a better way to play the game if that was the case. Now, I know everybody doesn't have the luxury for that, right? Some people only have one console in the house, and that's just it. So they're kind of just going to have to deal with it. And, we should note that it's free to play, right? It costs you $0. So if you want a better experience, you can get a paid version of a game that won't have ads in it, that won't have pre-roll ads, hopefully. And, you can kind of get a better experience. Because there are games like that you can pay for, like whatever the Call of Duty Vanguard, or Call of Duty World War II, or Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter, any of the other Call of Duty games, right? They're big, some of them have Battle Royale or whatever, and you can just play that without any ads. But
all right, so let's talk about a game that won't have any ads. At least I don't think.
I hope not.
And that's the new Sonic Origin game that's coming out. It was kind of leaked early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't talk about it to make the run of show the last show, but it was kind of leaked that there was going to be a Sonic Origins game, and they just wanted to wait till it actually was announced because, I'm a big Sonic fan, love Sonic, and it's coming out pretty soon. It's supposed to be out June 23rd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It will have Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles in Sonic CD.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So all remastered. That's great. And you can play as three characters. You can play as Knuckles, Sonic, or Tails in all the games, which is great, by the way. Sadly enough, no physical, which sucks.
At the moment, no physical. Yeah. Now this was the case for. Oh, well, that's not true. It just didn't come with the actual disc, but Sonic Mania had a deluxe version. Now, there was no game inside, but you did get a bunch of stuff.
When I think when Sonic Mania came out, we got the big statue. We got the Sonic. If you look behind me, there's Sonic right there.
Oh yeah, there, yeah, it is. It is right up there. It's wearing a Mario cap too, which is weird.
Yes,
it's wearing a cap.
I know. Well, it's really Mario. He took over Sonic. Now he can run.
His cap. Oh, that's right.
Cappy.
Throw the cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing you got with a bunch of cool extras, but the game was digital. Yeah,
but it came out later on, like a year later.
They eventually did that. Yeah. So I have hope for a physical version of this. I'm not worried about that. And I think everything about this game is really cool. The fact that they're remastering all these games, they're now in widescreen. You can play as all the characters. They even have a mode where they tie all 4 games together. And they are going to add new cutscenes to, like, bring the whole story together. So you go directly from, I guess, like 1 to 2. And then maybe, like, 1 to CD, and then CD to 3 and Knuckles. Because that's how they kind of came out in order, and they'll narratively tie them together as to why you're playing this new game now, which I think is kind of cool. But I don't know if you saw the chart of the different versions.
I did, and I think it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. So much so that I had to have people explain it to me. It's crazy. So. This is from, I think, Game Rant, and I quote, I do kind of want to read this out because I'm not going to be able to paraphrase it. It's confusing at first glance because it seems like the 3 out of the 5 versions didn't have the main game included. That's because the packs appear to be add-ons that you have to buy on top of the main game versions. The Start Dash Pack is actually purchasable DLC post-launch that is inclusive of all pre-order purchases. So I guess you get that if you pre-order. Then it says, meanwhile, some of the other inclusions in purchasable packs can also be unlocked through gameplay, both in the standard and digital deluxe editions. The DLC packs only unlock these bits of content right from the get-go. So what it seems to be is that Besides the Dash Pack, which you can get for free if you pre-order, the other 2 packs are unlockable, and then the Digital Deluxe Edition gives you additional animations in certain menus, which is weird, and additional music from other Genesis titles.
So you have, let's just go weird. This. You have the main game, 100 bonus coins, mirror mode unlock, hard missions, letterbox background, character animations in the main menu, camera control over the main menu islands, character animations during music islands, additional music tracks from the Mega Drive / Genesis title.
Right. So those are all the options.
No, and I'm going to be very candid. None of this shit should be separated. I buy the game, I get all of that. That's what it should be.
either unlockable or whatever. Yeah. I like the bonus coin stuff. All right. The bonus coin stuff I could see pay some money and you get that. But everything else, yes, everything else should be in the base game.
This is dumb.
It is. It's dumb and confusing, and you have to read an article to figure out
this is why
what it is.
I'm probably going to wait till the physical edition comes, and I'm not going to buy it. It's dumb. I don't understand it. I want all the. I paid money. I should get all of that. I don't care about the coins. I should get all of that stuff.
Well, it looks like most of it is unlockable, besides the mirror mode, which you can get if you pre-order it, which is weird. So I think the other 2 packs, if I'm reading the article correctly, as you beat it, you unlock those features. Otherwise, you can pay for it and get it immediately and not have to unlock it. Which, okay, but it's still confusing. Yeah, it's not great. And I think I'm with you, too. Because it's not anything really new. You can play all these games good versions of these games on everything, on every pack known to man. They just won't be in widescreen, and you can't play Knuckles in every version.
So,
And that's fine.
And then they're gonna get me later on with the Sonic collection, right? Because I know Sonic 4 that came out in episodes, which was kind of idiotic.
That's terrible.
Wasn't well received, but you know what? Just finish it. It wasn't even finished. They didn't even put out the last episode, so just
because it was that bad.
Make the last episode good. They put out the Sonic collection where you get Sonic 1, 2, 3, 4, and throw it, and then throw in Spinball, right? Sonic Spinball, just throw it in.
Just to round it out.
You get the Sonic collection. I understand they say Origin because this is the original game, so I get that, right? But just at some point, I want to play. It wasn't great, but because I love Sonic and I love those old school Sonic games, it was something for me to latch on to when I was playing. I think I played one episode on my phone because it came out for mobile too. I played one episode on my phone.
I did play it on my Android, episode 1, yeah.
Yeah, and then I played the second episode, I think, on my PS4 when it around the time when it first came out.
That's so weird. Yeah.
So just put out the Sonic collection, give me Sonic 1 through 4, and then make a 5. That'd be great. Make it well, it's funny. You have Sonic CD, which technically should be Sonic 3, but whatever. And then you have Sonic Mania, right? Yeah. Which would be Sonic 5, 4, whatever. So
well, technically, if Sonic and Knuckles if Sonic CD is 3, then Sonic 3 and Knuckles is 4. Sonic 4 would be Sonic 5. Sonic Mania would be Sonic 6.
Okay, there we go. So
if we're going in chronological order and they name them properly, yes.
So put out Sonic 7. That's what I want.
There you go.
And 7's my favorite number.
Okay.
All right, Sega. This is bullshit with the Sonic Origin.
Yeah, yes, it is.
You redeemed yourself because all the reports say that Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio are reportedly getting big budget reboots.
Come on, baby. Come on.
You've been clamoring for Jet Set Radio. I know you have.
That's right. The last version of this game came out in the original. I bought my original Xbox because of Jet Set Radio Future, which was a reimagining of the original game, just expanded out.
Who said the original Xbox didn't have no games? Yeah.
No, that was a great game. That was when Microsoft was courting Sega and saying, "Hey, we want a good Japanese presence. Why don't you bring your awesome game studios and your awesome games over to our platform?" And they did. Toe Jam and Earl, Panzer Dragoon.
The original Xbox was
Crazy Taxi.
Dreamcast 2.
That's right.
It was.
So I love both these games. Crazy Taxi is amazing. It goes down in history. You have to play the version with Bad Religion and The Offspring. It's the only way to play. The re-releases that come out and they can't get the licensing for it.
Yeah.
No, toss it in the garbage. You just wasted $60. You got to play the ones with the actual songs in there, which I believe the original Xbox Crazy Taxi 3 has 1, 2, and 3 with all of the licensed music, I think. And it's actually a very good version. But I mean, how do you feel? I mean, because you know how I feel about Jet Set and Crazy Taxi. How do you feel about this move? You think this is the right move for Sega? I think this is a good move.
I think they need to drum up something different, right? I mean, you have the Yakuza games, and they needed something different, so they have a spinoff, The Lost Judgment, right? Sonic, not well received. Well, up and down, roller coaster, right? Bad game, okay game, great game, bad game, right? And then you get them, and they're focused on the movie. They have so many IPs in their backlog. They're not doing anything with, right? Like, I love one of my favorite channels on YouTube, Sega Lord X, right? He's Saturn is his favorite, one of his favorite systems of all time. I agree with him. It is
most underrated system of all time,
according to me.
Yep.
So, he just clamors for something different, something new, right? Bring out something new. You have all this IP, all these old IPs that you could do interesting things with on these new systems, and you don't have to just rely on making bad Sonic games, right? So and then you can give Yakuza a little bit of a break, right? You could do things and space them out, and don't just live off of the IP, because that's when you flood the market and you saturate it and people get tired of it. We don't get a Mario game every year, right?
No.
Right now, everybody's clamoring for a Mario Odyssey 2, and we don't even know if they're going to do that, right? They may skip it and do something else. So,
yeah, I think to kind of add on to that a little bit, you want to have a bit of a break so much that people are like, oh, I would really like a new Game X, a new Mario game.
Yeah.
And it gives the developers time to think about it, right? It gives them time to not be burnt out, right? Because you're working on the same game like the Assassin's Creed devs, right? Everyone at Ubisoft kind of got burnt out making all the Assassin's Creed games, and they were always the same game.
Honestly, taking it back, Jet Set Radio could have been Sega's Splatoon. Right? They could have been their version of Splatoon with graffiti.
Yep.
But they've been sitting on it for so long that, I wonder what I wonder what ideas they're going to come up with, right?
I mean,
like to make it different.
Even if they just modern. Because the whole conceit of the game, right? You were part of a graffiti gang, or just a gang that does graffiti, I guess. I don't know. You're all on rollerblades and you're running around the city and you clash with other gangs, right? So everyone's got their tags, and you're basically tagging the city in the name of your crew. I forget what the name of your crew is, but and you basically you court other rollerbladers, other taggers to your team, and you start growing your crew out. And you're tagging up the city, and then the cops come after you, right? So it's kind of like anti-establishment, right? Kind of running around graffiti is art. You can't put the the hammer of the law down on us, and that was kind of the conceit of the two games. Honestly, if they just kind of bring that to the modern day, tweak the mechanics a little bit of the games, give it a 1080p 4K fresh coat of paint, I would be happy. Now, I mean, you could. I'm sure they got some other stuff lined up. The second one added multiplayer, which was cool. It was a little more trick based, where the first one was more like doing the motions to do the graffiti. So maybe you could kind of bring that back in a way. But I am excited if true.
And then Crazy Taxi. I like that game, and we had a Taxi Chaos game that was sort of similar, right? It was sort of like some people were saying, they made it sort of a spiritual successor to that game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wasn't as good as the original games. Yeah, okay, I can see. And doesn't Sega own the patent to the arrow that's at the top of the screen?
Oh, well, they tried to patent, yes, the arrow waypoint system that Crazy Taxi wasn't the first, but they tried to patent, yes, the navigation arrow at the top, and they weren't able to do it, thankfully, because it's ubiquitous in just about every video game. I mean, Christ, Madden has arrows in it. Oh, yeah, thankfully they got shot down for that, so. Yeah, Taxi Chaos was the other game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which has the same old school yellow checkered cab on the front and the girl with her hands up, right? And it's nothing to do with Sega's version. Yeah, and that actually came out last year, so it came out real recently. But I think honestly the same thing with Crazy Taxi. If you just put it up in 4K. You expand out the world a little bit, maybe add some new driving techniques in there, tighten up the controls a little bit, and get some good licensed music. There's your game. I mean, it's time. People want it, People want it. The nostalgia factor is very high, and it's kind of pick up and play arcadey gameplay, like both those games, right? You can just kind of pick up and play and do some tricks and run around the city. Either on rollerblades or in a car, and you'll have a good time with it.
No, crazy. Sega does own the patent for that. I think it expired, if I'm not mistaken, because they sued.
Oh.
Yes, they sued Simpsons Hit and Run. Remember?
Oh, so wow, that's like kind of shitty. But they
patented it in
lost though,
97.
right?
They patented it in 97.
Right.
Well, I think they came to some kind of agreement or something along those lines. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
they did have the patent
Yeah. I mean,
for that.
to be a little bit charitable to Sega, Simpsons Hit and Run was Crazy Taxi with Simpsons characters. So, I think they had a little bit more of a leg to stand on with that, but yeah, crazy.
All right.
Crazy.
Talk about excitement. I'm excited that we're going to get a new Tales from the Borderlands game. We're getting the second one. We're getting the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think this was possible. Didn't think this would happen because obviously Telltale Games went under. They're back now.
Yep.
They announced a new Wolf Among Us Part 2, which is exciting. It looked awesome. I like the original game. Almost platinum that game. I'm missing just 2 dialogue options. I don't know how I missed it. And I could have platinumed the game. So now I want to replay the first game.
Sure.
To get that platinum.
Sure.
Because all my platinums are Telltale Games on my PlayStation. That's all my platinums. But Tales from Borderlands was one of the best Telltale narrative games they put out, and it was all made up. It wasn't any. It was canon. I guess I think they did say it was canon, but like made up characters. So I definitely want to play this. It was arguably the best Telltale game ever.
Sure.
So we got that.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're getting a renaissance with the Wolf Among Us Part 2, and now Tales from the Borderlands 2. So they're back in full force, man.
They're back in full force.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll end with this Nintendo Online service. We know they got a couple of new games, a couple of new Genesis games, and I think Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, for the Nintendo Online expansion pack. We talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago, the SNES and the NES games that were announced. But there was a leak that shows that there could be all 6 Mega Man games for the NES, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Castlevania game coming to the Nintendo Online system. That's great. Those are some major games. I'm kind of surprised because Nintendo Online has been around for what, 3 years, 4 years, something like that, right? Like it feels like it's been around forever, but they've only put first party games and maybe some third parties, smaller titles.
Sure. I'm
surprised that we would get Mega Man and we would get Castlevania because those are large third party games where they would have to pay the licensing fee. How long will they, at this point, they haven't taken any games down. How long will these games be up to play, right? Like, how long will we have them before they actually take them down?
I've heard that argument, and it is a good argument, or it is a good concern to have, right? How long is Capcom or Konami, I guess more importantly, going to be charitable in a way and say, hey, you can have your games up on these systems? I would say that in Konami's case, they're getting paid for doing nothing, so I don't think they're going to really. And I think Capcom is kind of in the same boat. If you want the Mega Man collection with all the Mega Man games, you're going to buy it. I don't think it's going to hinder any sales necessarily.
Well, that's probably why we didn't see it when it first, the Nintendo Online first came out, because they wanted to push those sales for the Mega Man collections that I think they just put those out for like a couple of years prior. Right?
Yeah,
and still were probably making sales, and they had Mega Man X collections they knew they wanted to put out, which whenever you put out another collection, people look at the first collection you put out, right? So it probably boosts sales of both. So I'm just surprised. And if it comes out, that's great. It gives me excuse to go back and play those games. On the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, it's making the service. It's making the service every time they put new games out there. It's worth it more and more, right? You've got a ton of classic stuff on there, and it's pretty good versions of it for the most part.
Well, I know there's talks of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. I do think that's coming, but historically, I
heard about the leak that they found the emulator and they think it's from Nintendo. Yeah,
but historically, Nintendo usually puts these out in September. right? To boost to bolster, holiday, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
hey, holiday season's here. You got to switch. Get Nintendo Online. Now we have Game Boy Advance game. We have, Game Boy game. So, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Right.
That's all I got.
Right.
All
Well,
for the news.
Okay. Well, you got any weekend takes, Dan? You got any stuff you're doing for the weekend?
I am hopefully be done with fixing the house, and I get a chance to relax and play some games. And we both have a wedding to go to.
I was just gonna say we got a wedding. Yeah. Our friend's getting married, so congratulations to him and his new wife. Should be a good time. Should be a good time for sure. Looking forward to that. Got to make sure my suit is pressed, and I think you got to do the same. So
I do.
Yeah. Well, that is episode 313 in the books. And we want to thank you guys for listening to the show and liking, commenting, and doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.